America is so broke now. They said, don't worry, you can pay your rent on layaway.
10, 15, or 20 years from now, rents are going to explode in this country.
And I also don't want to move to a city like Miami and just be existing. Like, oh, just to say you live in Miami, but you can't afford to do nothing. Somebody invite you somewhere, you ain't got no money, spend it all on rent.
Y'all, I got my lease renewal letter today. $400 increase.
You want 3 times the monthly income to rent some of these places?
Over $2,100 for a studio apartment. A studio apartment. Yeah, no, I gotta go.
The wild thing is, majority of the people in New York can't even afford New York, but they want to live in New York even if they're struggling, bro. Negative in their bank account just to say I live in New York.
We are all tired of these insane freaking prices.
And the thing is I did everything right? Everybody told me, like, oh, when you get into your 20s, just get a better job and you'll be able to get a better place to live. You know, why was I more successful and less poor when I was 19 years old working at the fucking mall?
We need to get back to communities because how are we supposed to do this? Oh my gosh. Anyways, happy Friday, everybody.
Rent is going up again, and millions of Americans are being pushed to the breaking point. Since 2021, rents have jumped over 28%, while paychecks have barely even moved. Today, we're going to talk about what's really happening and why it keeps getting worse. Check this out.
10, 15, or 20 years from now, rents are going to explode in this country. I would get rid of everything right now to buy 12,000 apartments. I believe in real estate so much that if I could dump everything, every single penny I had and load up into A-plus location properties, positive job growth, if I could buy below replacement costs, you know, it'd be nice if it was below the last trade, $1,500 to $1,800 rents. What's the average rent in Indianapolis?
Around $1,250 right now.
If I could be in that $1,250 range, a little higher than that wouldn't even bother me if it's a core product and great amenities.
Yeah, core's going to go 18, 19, and 100 plus or minus.
And if I have, like, if I'm your age and I'm waiting 10 or 20 years, I'm going to load up every penny I have. I would dump my retirement accounts. I would dump my Bitcoin. I would dump all my gold, all my cash. I would borrow to do it. I would raise money to do it.
Yeah, I heard Miami is the most expensive city in the U.S. Now, y'all don't know this, but I'm really a city girl. I was born in Florida, not Miami, but I was born in Florida, and at the end of the day, I'm really a city girl. So when it all boils down, your girl will be moving back to a city. Maybe Miami. Who knows? I don't know. I just make impulsive decisions. My whole vibe for like my rebrand and for the rest of this year is you'll never be this young again. Do it big. If you're going to do anything, you better do it big. Okay? But let's get back on topic. So how much is the cost of living in Miami? Like if I was to up and pack all my things and move to Miami today, like how much money do I need to be clearing a month? Some say 15 bands, some say 30. Some say if you really doing your big one, you making 50 plus. I said, ooh, okay. Now, y'all know we be talking about rent a lot, but I will tell you this. Them $1,500 to $1,700 one bedrooms in other cities, baby, that'll get you a studio. And barely even that probably in Miami. You probably gonna be living in somebody else's bedroom. For real, for real. You ain't even gonna have your own. How much is like a one bedroom in Miami? And that's standard. Like, that's bottom. How much is a studio? Because I feel like if you're gonna do Miami, you want the Miami view as well. Like, it don't do no good to move to Miami and you living on the outer skirts. I feel like if you're gonna do it, you just gotta do it big. And they say the cost of living. And I also don't want to move to a city like Miami and just be existing. Like, oh, just to say you live in Miami, but you can't afford to do nothing. Somebody invite you somewhere, you ain't got no money, spend it all on rent, and they barely got their money.
Ooh, that made my stomach turn when I just found out that the average US rent in expensive cities just jumped to $3,000 a month. And since landlords want you to earn 3 times the rent, well, you need to make $108,000. One little problem, the average American makes $51,000 a year. Half the country doesn't qualify for the average apartment in an expensive city. Not because they're lazy, not because they failed, but because the math broke. Let me explain. You see, for decades, the rule was simple. Make 3 times the rent. And this rule was meant to protect landlords and tenants so that they wouldn't have to evict. But then something changed. Rent kept rising and wages didn't. And the rule turned into a wall. So people apply anyways and they just get rejected. Not for bad credit, not for criminal records, but because they don't make enough on paper. In many cities, renters are spending 40 or 50% of their income just to live in an average apartment. And buying a home? Even further out of reach. People aren't choosing to rent, they're stuck renting. Here's the problem. Wages follow the market and housing follows demand. And the two no longer match. Working full-time, earning median income, and still not being able to afford your own home. And when half of the country can't afford to own their own home, well, that's not personal, that's structural. But that's why I teach people how to buy property without banks. It's called seller financing. It's when a home buyer pays a seller directly. No banks involved. It's how I retired in just 5 years. And you can too. So if you want my playbook, then write freedom in the comments and I'll share it with you. Write freedom in the comments because home ownership might be a lot closer than you think.
Y'all, I got my lease renewal letter today. $400 increase. $4,400 for rent. Y'all think I made out of money? $4,400. Now that I know and I've experienced it for myself, ain't no way I'm staying here. Because it's not even fun to live in LA. Like New York costs a lot, but it's fucking fun. It's fucking fun. What you got here? Tacos? Like, hell no. I'll hear these damn earthquakes, riots and shit, homeless. Now for $4,400. So then I Googled how long is the drive from LA to Miami, and it said 40 hours. Then I Googled how long is the drive from LA to New York, 41. I drove 31 from Atlanta here, so if this Jimmy Kimmel thing don't pan out, it's gonna be me in a fast car. Is it fast enough so we can fly away? We gotta make a decision. Leave tonight or pay $4,400. Ain't no way.
Landlords, you're not checking our credit score anymore. You're checking our blood pressure. You want 3 times the monthly income to rent some of these places? Average rent in America just hit $3,000. So $9,000 a month. The average American is not making that kind of money. This shit's crazy, dude.
All right, guys, I'm literally gonna start. I'm gonna start crying. Surprised I haven't started bawling my eyes out yet. My rent went up. I bet it went up $225. I can't do that. That's crazy. I live in Boston. I live in a studio. I have chosen to live on my own. I'm very aware of the fact that I could have come here and gotten a random roommate and saved more of my money. Knew coming here that I would have to sacrifice some of my financial goals, but I am such a happier person living here in Boston than I was back home in Connecticut. I've found my people, I have a beautiful girlfriend now that I'm here, and like I just love being in Boston, and I've chosen to live by myself all this time. And I could afford it when I came here. My rent started at $17.25, I think, for a studio. I don't know if I mentioned that. This is a studio apartment with $200 parking space. It's not really a space. It's just a spot where I can park my car, and it is very convenient. Then it went up to $18.50 the next year. So I started here in, what year are we in? 2023. So it was $17.25. Then the next year it was $18.50. Then the next year it became, now it's $1,900. This is the third year. Now I just got an email that my rent is going to be $21.25. So I messaged back and just said, hey, I just want to clarify this. Does this include parking? Like what is happening? For, mind you, a studio apartment that I love because I've made it home, but I mean, I don't have a dishwasher. I don't have laundry in unit. I don't have the proper outlets for plugging stuff in. Like there's all sorts of quirky things with this apartment. I have been feeling more ready to leave this place because I should live in something that's like new. And like, it's not even diva to like want normal things like a dishwasher and like, I don't even need a dishwasher. I've been doing my dishes for like 4 years without a dishwasher. Laundry and unit, like wanting a normal place to park my car, like wanting outlets so it's safe. I can't even like use the appliances that I have. Like, I have to use my air fryer on the floor because it does not reach to the outlet in the one outlet in the kitchen. So there are things that I have let pass because when I first moved here, it was just like a quick spot and then I made it home. I love where I live. The T is right here. The bus, it's so easy to get to work. It's so convenient. But I think now it's my time to go over $2,100 for a studio apartment. A studio apartment. Yeah, no, I gotta go.
New York City rental market reached a new high, $3,600, and gas is $10 in New York. How are y'all New Yorkers surviving, bruh? This is insane, nigga. And to think I wanted to live in New York. Nah, bruh. I don't care how diverse, I care how good the New York pizza is. It ain't $3,600 a month good. The wild thing is, majority of the people in New York can't even afford New York, but they want to live in New York even if they're struggling, bro. Negative in their bank account just to say I live in New York.
Rent in America is simply overpriced. Well, everything in America is overpriced, but rent right now, on average, is over $2,000 in America. And that place that you rent is going to come empty, without any furniture. They're also going to make you pay for a background check, and pay for a credit check, and pay for application fee and moving fees and any other fee that they can hit you with. While me, on the other hand, I'm filming this TikTok in a fully furnished, one-bedroom apartment that costs less than $130 a month. And yes, I have a tour on my page.
Why are application fees for apartment rentals so damn much? Let's get into it. That application fee is supposed to cover the cost of a background check. No, it feels like they're pocketing all that money and probably only checking the people they want to rent to. At best, they're requiring at least 40 to 50% above the actual cost of the background check. We are all tired of these insane freaking prices. Every apartment says luxury in the name somewhere, and nearly every single one has cheap, outdated appliances, not a single built-in ice maker on the fridge. Every stove has a coil top. Microwaves are cheap. Shallow kitchen double sink with no sprayer. The washer and dryer, if it even has one, is very loud. It's old. It's worn looking. Every bathroom looks to be painted over 10 times. The tubs have caulk all over them. Busted toilets that don't flush well, clog easily. Hallways smell. I could go on and on. Amenities you have to pay for. $500 pet deposit on average with monthly pet rent. Facility fees, street lights, sewer, water, which seems much higher than it should be, and there's no proof of what the property uses. It's just a shared expense. Mandatory internet through the property management. A one-bedroom apartment that claims $1,250 when you're looking turns into $1,600 to $1,700 real quick when you pay all their mandatory non-negotiables. And we just got to live like this now. Landlords are saying that the property taxes are making the increases in the rent, so they have to force that increase on us. And they're not lying, but that $980 mortgage that they got at 2.3% APR in 2012 doesn't mean that the rent needs to be $2,000 to $2,500 to make up for it. And yes, I understand CapEx, vacancy costs, move outs, refurbishment are a thing. 150 to 200% of your mortgage for average rent. We will keep paying it. And y'all know we're going to keep paying it because we don't have a choice in most cases. The worst part about it is they have done jack shit to make it worth that much money. They do as they please. And they do as little as possible to keep it in a livable condition. They think we're paying for some top tier living. We're all getting tired.
America is so broke now. They said, don't worry, you can pay your rent on layaway. Rent has jumped 28% in 5 years. So now the solution is not affordable housing, it's payment plans. Yeah, now you can rent now and pay later. Companies like Flex, Livable, and even Affirm, they stepping in like, don't worry, baby, we're gonna slice that into installments for you. Because rent is taking a whole paycheck for most people. Not half, not a chunk, the whole paycheck. But I want to be clear, they're not doing this out of the kindness of their hearts. We're talking about a monthly subscription fee on top of charging them a percentage of their actual rent. So now you're paying extra money just to pay the money that you don't already have. That's like being charged a cover fee for your own house. And this isn't small. Over 40 million people in America rent. That's a whole economy built on you struggling, and they're gonna monetize on it. Instead of fixing the issue, America said, nope, let's just put it on installments and keep moving. So I have to ask, are any of you using buy now, pay later for your rent? Have you had to? Or would you do it if it's the only way to survive? Because at some point, this stops being innovative and starts looking like desperation with a subscription fee. Enough is enough.
Okay, we just got our rent renewal letter in August. It's going to be a year of us living here. And I am completely shocked, okay? Our rent for a 1-bedroom apartment, and I think it's roughly like 750 square feet, is $22.50 a month, okay? To sign another 12-month lease, I'm gonna show you. So it had like, I don't want to show you all the address. Okay. So it has the different month terms you can sign. If we do another year, it'll be $23.06. That's only $56 more a month. Do you know how crazy that is? Because usually places will raise your rent like $300 plus more a month. And so I was like just mentally preparing for like worst case scenario. I was like $300 to $500 a month more. And I was like, well, if it's that much, I think we could do it. But anything more than that, we'd have to look for a new place probably. $56, okay? And when me and my boyfriend talked about it, we're like, we're resigning, right? I mean, we always thought we would resign. Okay, sorry, I thought I got a work call. But anyways, we loved this location so much, like as soon as we moved in, that we were like, oh, we're definitely staying here at least 2 years, because like who wants to move every year? But then when we got this letter a few days ago, we were like, I mean, $56, of course we're gonna resign, but do we want to look at any other places? And so he's like, well, I think I'm like open to it, but like right now we live a block from the metro station. And I was like, okay, it's gonna have to be really close to the metro, like what we have now, because we've just come to rely on the metro a lot, which we didn't do before. It's so convenient. And then also, we're just so close to everything. It's so walkable. So I was like, it has to be like something like this. I was like, honestly, I'm only willing to look at a 2-bedroom in our same building. Like, I love our building. And he was like, well, I'm open to looking like at other places just to compare, blah, blah, blah. So 2 or 3 days go by, and I was like, I don't think I want to look at other places. He's like, me either. Like, you're not going to beat a $56 rent raise, especially in the DMV in Northern Virginia. We live in Alexandria. So yeah, I was pretty surprised. I'm really happy with this. It just proves why I love this apartment building so much. But yeah, just wanted to share that. I think I haven't lived in an apartment in several years, and this was like pre this horrible economy. So I don't know if it's that typical that rent can only be raised $56. I remember when I lived in my last apartment, I lived in like this shitty area of Alexandria, and they raised my rent like $150, and I didn't re-sign, but yeah. And it was like in the hood. So yeah. Is this normal, the $56 rent raise? Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Okay, bye.
Rant with me for a second. You want to rant with me for a second? Rant with me for a second. When I was 19 years old, I was paying around $800 a month for a 2-story, 2-bedroom townhome in Pontiac, Michigan, as a manager of a retail store. Okay. I was kind of living paycheck to paycheck considering the job I had, making $11 an hour, but I made ends meet. And then my boyfriend at the time moved in, so that fixed most of that problem. My roommate's getting married, so I'm gonna have to find another place to live here soon. Obviously, nothing against her. I'm not gonna live with you and your spouse. That's weird. I understand me having to find another place to live. That's fine. Nothing against her. However, why am I having a harder time finding a place to live with the increasing rent prices at 25 years old with my big girl job? Why was I having an easier time being independent and more successful as a 19-year-old manager of a retail store? That's not how this works. That's not how it should work anyways. I looked to see how much my old apartment has gone up to now. It was $800 a month when I was living there when I was 19. I'm now 25, and now it's going for $1,300 a month, and it's the exact same apartment that it was when I was living there. And I know people that live in Texas, New York, California are going to say, oh my God, that's so good for a 2-story townhome. That rent is so good. Not in Pontiac, Michigan. It's Diet Flint. I felt safer living in Flint than I did living in Pontiac. And the thing is I did everything right, right? Everybody told me like, oh, when you get into your 20s, just get a better job and you'll be able to get a better place to live. You know, why was I more successful and less poor when I was 19 years old working at the fucking mall? I work with oncologists to coordinate care for cancer patients. That is the big girl job. That's the good job that you're supposed to get. And yet I'm going to be more house poor than I was when I was 19 years old working at the fucking mall. They just put up a new apartment complex in downtown Flint near where the old YMCA used to be. And the 1-bedroom apartments are going for $900 a month in downtown Flint. And I know a lot of people who don't live there or don't have a history there like to say, oh, they're fixing it. It's a nice little college town now. It's safe to be there. It is not. What they're doing is putting up nicer buildings downtown, gentrifying the area, and jacking up the rent. They haven't done anything about the crack problem that has seemed to move its way over from the north end over to that side. They aren't doing anything to help the homeless people that are out there. They're not doing anything to help the single parents that are losing their benefits. So it's still just as bad. You're going to pay $900 for your apartment to hear gunshots at night. Do you want that? I don't want that. And then on top of that, okay, even if I do find a cheaper place to live that's around $800 a month, I don't make enough money working with doctors to qualify for an apartment. So I would have to have a guarantor, and then I would have to have help getting the last month's rent and the security deposit all in one to move into a place. Never mind buying furniture. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Thanks.
And for real, I said the quiet part out loud. Y'all mad at me because I highlighted the fact that the pricing in New Jersey, north of Jersey, is really ridiculous. And soon, you all are going to be priced out of your own shit because a lot of people are out there talking about, oh, you broke. You can't afford to live in New Jersey. Oh, I can afford to live there. I don't think it's worth paying to live there. Paying $3,500 a month, $42,000 a year. And that price is the new nigga price, okay? Because I know for a fact that you all aren't paying that shit. Because you would be like, yeah, that shit is too much. Let me get the fuck up out of here. I thought it was so comical that people telling me I can't afford to live in New Jersey are not paying $3,500 in rent. I know you're not. Like I said, that's the new nigga price. And if you're not careful, if you don't speak up, if you don't reach out to your state, whomever you need to fucking talk to, you're going to be pushed out of your own shit. Okay? Because I know that's one of the reasons why all those niggas from New York are in New Jersey right now. Because after the pandemic, the landlords sometimes, in some cases, doubled the rent. And they were like, fuck it, I can't afford that. And that's why they brought their asses to North Jersey. Okay? And other parts of New Jersey. So if y'all don't get ahead of it and chit chat with whoever you need to talk up to be like, hey, yo, this is out of control. Okay? You're gonna have to move. You're gonna be displaced. Okay, because $3,500, and somebody was telling me that it was justified. $3,500 a month was justified because you get great views of the New York City skyline. Are you fucking serious? You can't be serious.
Breaking news, as of January 2026, you no longer have 30 days after eviction is filed on you. You now have 3 days to leave that property before the people come to your door and serve you. In court, when you take this to court, you don't have 30 days to figure it out, scrape up some money. No, you have 3 days. After those 3 days and you don't have the money, they will be putting your stuff outside. They are no longer playing anymore because for years, people have kept appealing 30 days every time they go to court and still not paying these people their money. They have been stacking money on these landlords, living in their properties for free. And as of 2026, January, that comes to an end. This is real. This is not fake news. You can look this up online. Yeah, Donald Trump changed that. You will no longer be stacking your money on the government anymore.
So I've been looking for new rentals, right? And my lease is about to end. So I knew that I'd probably get a rental increase if I didn't renew. Well, they're increasing rent for everybody. So our 17 I just looked at this paperwork. My $1,750 base rent is going up to $2,056 for base rent. So all those stupid things they make you pay for, like the valet trash, which is the stupidest $60 charge that I have to pay for, that's not included in that. My water, sewer, garbage, that's another like $175. That's not included in that. And of course, neither is internet, phone bill, all that jazz. But as far as this apartment's base rent, they're jacking it up almost $400 across the board. So it's even more urgent for me to get the fuck out of here. And that's if I renew for a full year. If I don't renew for a full year, that goes up even higher. If I just wanted to do month to month, they don't let that shit slide here. They really don't. They almost make it in the paperwork and the verbiage. It's like you're not allowed to do month to month. You have to go and sign a new whole lease. And mind you, these apartments are luxury apartments. Sure. Luxury apartments. There's bird shit everywhere. They let the birds make their nests right outside your door. So there's just bird crap outside your door constantly. I complain about it all the time. They do nothing about it. They don't clean anything except for the ones that are right next to the office. Also, in these luxury apartments, there are so many people crammed into these apartments that the trash is out of control. Every single week, on Thursday, starts usually around Wednesday, the trash compactor is completely full. And so people just pile trash right next to the trash compactor. And the pile gets so big, you can't even see the trash compactor. That's every single week that happens. And if you didn't know this, mice and rats, they love trash. And I saw like a football-sized rat the other day. And with these luxury apartments, you're not supposed to smoke in or out of the unit. You're not supposed to, 420, cigarettes, none of that. Nobody listens to that. Everybody smokes on their balcony, and I live on the 3rd floor. So guess who gets everybody's smoke? Me. And they won't do anything about it. When I first moved in, I complained about it. And they're like, well, you have to catch them on video. I go, so you want me to lean over my balcony and shove a phone in their face? Are you kidding? What? Obviously, nobody's going to do that. So it's basically their polite way of saying fuck off and deal with it. But it's a little ridiculous when you're paying the amount of money that you are. And I can't run my AC unit. If I run my AC unit, that sticks out the window. Guess who gets sucked up? The smoke. Cigarette smoke just pours into my apartment. It's bleak out here, I guess, is the point of my message. This really sucks. I really wish I could just buy a whole bunch of land and put a bunch of little homes on it and just have all the single moms. Every single mom can come and live there. And I'll be the gal in charge, I guess. I would just love to be able to create a nice, safe, clean, working environment. We need to get back to those. We need to get back to communities because how are we supposed to do this? Oh my gosh. Anyways, happy Friday, everybody.
Listen to me, because I'm getting real damn tired of hearing people talk about homelessness like it's some kind of character flaw. Like people wake up one morning and decide they want to lose their damn house, and nobody wants that. And listen, the more I look around, the more I think we're having the wrong conversation. We are talking about homeless people when we should be talking about how many Americans are one bad day away from becoming homeless themselves. Not years away, one bad day. A few days ago, I saw a video from a woman who got evicted from her townhouse and a church. They stepped in and helped her get into an extended stay motel, paid for a whole month. An example of good people doing a good thing. But here is the part that stopped me cold. Once she started paying back, the motel was only about $50 cheaper a month than the townhouse she lost. $50. Not enough to save, not enough to rebuild, surely not enough to get ahead, just enough to survive another month. Then she started applying for apartments, and nobody would rent to her because the eviction damaged her credit. And I remember thinking, well, then what the hell is she actually supposed to do? She needs housing, eviction's in the way. She needs better credit, but you need housing first. She needs savings, and the motel is eating the money. Round and round she goes. And that's when it hit me. This woman is not the story. She's the warning, because I think there are millions of Americans living some version of that exact reality right now. Not homeless, not yet, but close enough to see it from where they're standing. Everything costs more. I mean, everything. And I don't think most people are building wealth anymore. I think they're managing risk, managing emergencies, managing stress, managing survival. And survival, it changes people. A person whose nervous system feels safe can think about next year. A person in survival mode is thinking about Friday. Can I pay rent? Can I keep the lights on? Can I make this paycheck stretch one more week? That is not weakness. That is not biology. It's part of what frustrates me the most is how quickly we judge people after they've fallen. We see the motel, we see the car, we see the tent, we see the outcome, but what we don't see are the 100 things that came before it. The moment there was nobody left to call. Not everybody has family. Not everybody has a friend with a spare bedroom. Not everybody has a church willing to help. Not everybody has somebody there to catch them when they fall. And that's why today's write-up matters. And it's called America is One Bad Day Away. How a nation of hardworking people ended up living month to month, emergency to emergency, and prayer to prayer. It's about fragility. It's about survival mode. It's about what happens when the margin for error disappears. You can read it right now by visiting the Substack link in my bio or go to southernpunk.substack.com. And before I go, let me ask you one question. If disaster struck and you lost it all, who would catch you? Because maybe before we judge somebody who fell, we should remember how many of us are a lot closer to the edge than we realize.
And why ain't nobody tell me ain't nobody paying rent? Why ain't nobody tell me that? I could have just not paid my shit. I'm in the office with my homegirl. She working there or whatever. Now, I'm only going in there to do a maintenance request, but I like her. She real cool. And the manager, she a little something different. But this girl, she real cool. She just got there a couple months ago. We chat all the time, right? I'm going in there. She's like, hold on 1 second. She's on the phone. I see a list on her desk. And now the list got all the apartment numbers on it. Now it's like an Excel sheet or whatever. It's got the apartment number, names, the rent, how much you owe, whatever. And it's got like her writing next to it. Like she wrote on them. Now, mind you, the paper I'm looking at is apartments 1, 2, and 3. It's all the people that haven't paid in the apartments of apartment 1, apartment 2, apartment 3, or building 1, building 2, building 3. And I'm looking at this list, and all of them is like, oh, we'll pay by next week. We'll pay by May 4th. We'll pay by May 3rd. We'll pay both May and April on this day. I'm like, the girls aren't paying their rent. The girls are not paying their rent, and nobody fucking told me. Y'all is sneaky. I could have just not been paying mine either. Y'all suck as friends, bitch.
Something that's really concerning me about rent is I feel like one bedrooms are now just being cannibalized up in the market by couples. And I feel like they're running rent prices accordingly. Like they're increasing one bedroom rent prices as if two people could live there. Because I'm seeing places in the city where I live where we're verging on like $4,000. I mean, not quite. Like, we're getting there. Like every year it's increasing and increasing. And it's like, at what point is the market going to stop it? Well, I'm just worried the market's not going to stop it because basically it's going to force single people into studios, I guess, or into our cars, I guess. And then the couples will just continue to eat up all of the one bedrooms. And so it is pretty concerning that, and for somebody my age, 33, that has a lot of money, like I don't have a problem with rent, but I don't like paying a huge portion of my money to rent. It's such a suck on my money. And I think the rent prices are outrageous. It's ridiculous that I'm 33 years old and I feel like they want me to go back to living like a college student. Like they want me to live in a closet or go back to living in a studio where my bed is like inches away from my oven. I'm not going to do that. That's so absurd. And even some of these one bedroom apartments, it's like there's not enough in them. So there's like, the closet is tiny and you have no storage, there's no shelves, there's no nothing. Like, this is a silly gripe, but like, my vacuum is laying on the floor because I don't have anywhere to put it that's efficient. I mean, I could try to bury it away in the closet, but there's not enough room. And I never thought at 33 I would be feeling like I just don't have the space to stretch out. I can only imagine, people that want to have a family when they live in an apartment. Like, where do you even put a baby? Where do you put a child? I just think that this is not sustainable long term, this whole rental market, and something's got to give. We've got to get houses back into the market for people to be able to actually live in sustainably, because this whole apartment thing and living in a closet for your entire life, like, what am I going to be, a granny living in a studio? Please.
So I live in New York and my landlord tried to raise our rent by $600. But then I remembered that the good cause eviction law went into effect in April. So basically, if you get a rent increase that's greater than the inflation index, which is 8.82% right now, or 10%, whichever one is lower, so in this case, 8.82% is lower, then that increase is unreasonable. There are exceptions to the rule, like if your landlord lives in your building, then they could raise your rent however much they want. And then just as stupidly, if your landlord owns 10 units or less, you're exempt from the rule. And you can find out how many units your landlord owns by going to the link in my bio and looking up your address. And then units with a monthly rent that's greater than 245% of the fair market rent right now. So like $6,000. There are more exemptions. I just figured these are going to be the more commonly seen. Hope this helps.
But I want to answer this particular question here because this seems to be one question that I saw on here repeatedly that I don't think a lot of people truly comprehend or understand. And so, yes, I'm here to advocate for renters, but as a person who has been a landlord and manager and dog owner for over 14 years, there's a lot of laws and rules that a lot of landlords who are new landlords or just scumlords don't abide by. So I'm here to spill all the tea, but to advocate for renters and give you the information. So in regards to this particular question about increases, unfortunately, increases are necessary in our rent. Now, that's why in certain cities like Los Angeles County, in Los Angeles City, it's rent controlled. So the cap is 5%. A landlord cannot charge you more than 5%. If they do, report them to the housing board. I'm an advocate for telling. Be a Karen, snitch, tell. Because that's your money. That's your hard-earned money. And they're already overcharging us for all kinds of shit anyways. But when it comes to rent increases annually, yes, they are legal. And I need you to look at it in this way. Every year, we have inflation. Regardless of what the degree of inflation is, there's inflation. And so with owners, there are roof repairs, there's maintenance repairs, on the building. They get property tax increases, they get insurance increases, they get increases on their end. And so for you to live there, you would have increase. If you owned a home, you would have an increase in all of those areas as well. And so when you get a rent increase, it's for the landlord to offset those fees that increases for them as well. So whether you're renting or owning, you will be paying increases. So rent increases are necessary. Now, if you live in an area that is not rent controlled, then could you guys stop? I'm trying to talk to the people. Go to your pineapple. Still a landlord, but they squat. They don't pay anything. Anyways, so rent increases are necessary. Like I was saying, if you live in an area that is not rent controlled, you need to move. Just move, because they can raise your rent whatever the heck you want. So for instance, in Los Angeles County, Glendale is its own municipality. They don't have rent control. They're a part of Los Angeles County, but for some reason, they're not a part of, Los Angeles City. So there are people who are charging people $250 every year in an annual increase, which is insane. Because as a resident of Glendale, off and on for a couple of years, I don't know what's going on with Glendale right now. That's a whole different post. But Glendale is ghetto, is dirty. The people who have moved into this community over the last 5 years have not taken care of Glendale. It is dangerous over here. I don't know what the hell's going on over here. It's a clean air city, and it's illegal to smoke in open public places. But these people over here do it, and they don't care. Anyways, whole different subject.
I just got my rent increase. Guess how much? Guess how much more they want from me? For no updates, no changes, no nothing. Building's exactly the same. 10.4% increase. 10.4%. Mind you, the average in New York for non-stabilized units is about 5.6% this year. So obviously I will be negotiating, but at this point I feel like New York has told me it's time to go like multiple times over the last few years. So I don't know. This right on top of my over $200 Con Ed bill that I got this week is just kind of the nail in the coffin, I fear. And I know a lot of people will be happy to hear this because just another transplant getting out of here. Potentially. We'll see. I love it here, but at what point do I get sick of just surviving and not living, you know?
Does it feel affordable?
Prices just go up and up and up.
It's insane. It's overpriced. Not super affordable. It's a little high.
Rent is a little high, to be honest. Yeah.
America is experiencing one of the most serious housing crises in its history. Consequently, rent pricing has gotten way out of hand. In the last 20 years, increases in rental rates have outpaced average income by almost 60%. Last year, a record 21 million people were considered cost-burdened by their rent payments, meaning that more than 30% of their income went towards rent.
And even if you found a way to afford today's rents, you might be feeling the effects of the housing crisis in other ways.
I don't pay that much in rent, but
It takes my friend 1 hour to get where they need to go.
oh yeah, it's really hard for me to get to the things that I need. It's like a 20-minute skate from my house to downtown and in an isolated area.
Small room without even a window. And I share a house with 34 people. So
This trend is not a result of the free market. It's the consequence of a series of powerful, long-standing policy choices. To understand how to fix our housing crisis and make rents more affordable, we have to understand more about these choices. There are many issues that affect the cost of housing, like supply chain disruptions, labor market changes, or interest rates. But the root of the problem is a shortage of housing where people need it the most. So why doesn't more housing get built where people need it, like in cities where jobs are growing?
This is where we have to talk about policy choice number 1, zoning.
We didn't have zoning in this town until around 1960.
Zoning is the practice of saying what kinds of buildings can go where and what they can be used for.
Zoning's been around for about 100 years. Some zoning was designed to separate industry from residential areas, but it got popular mainly for the purpose of separating white families and businesses from the rest of society.
Oh, I don't think the county would sell to them.
Today, American cities are bathed in restrictive land use regulations. In a traditional American city, you might have a walkable downtown with taller buildings and retail, maybe some arterial roads radiating out from it with strip malls and lots of parking, but everything else is covered by something called single-family zoning.
The suburbs. Almost as much written about as Madison Avenue.
In 75% of all residential land in the United States, the only thing you're allowed to build is a detached, single-family house. As a result, there's less space for different kinds of homes, like apartments or townhouses, even though many people may want or need them. This lack of variety leads to inefficient land use, where large areas are used for only one type of housing, making it harder to fit more homes in places where people want to live. And while zoning regulations on their own hinder new housing supply, it's equally important to understand how zoning is protected and weaponized by local citizens.
According to researchers in Boston who analyzed years of public meeting comments about development, a mere 15% of comments were in support of new housing. 62% were in opposition, and the remaining 23% were neutral. So what's the problem? Isn't this how democracy works?
The problem is that people who currently show up are not representative of our larger community. The same study in Massachusetts found that while the majority of voters in these towns support new housing, they only represent 15% of all comments. And it turns out that folks that show up to these meetings are on average older, whiter, wealthier, and more likely to own a home than the average voter. In towns and cities where voters largely support new housing, most of us understandably aren't showing up to advocate for a small apartment building. The immediate neighbors, on the other hand, care a lot.
Well, emotions are running high in Gilbert after developers want to change the zoning of a popular area.
Doesn't benefit one resident of Morrison Ranch.
I worry about their safety.
Now they've started a petition.
I'm opposing this to maintain the integrity of a commercial-free zone.
I'm definitely upset about the rezoning. We're using this as a rental property. We bought it.
On the whole, as neighborhood defenders shut down one development after another, housing supply becomes limited. The point is, as long as wealthy homeowners are the only people showing up to make public comments, housing supply will continue to fall short of demand and your rent will continue to increase. Things don't look so great right now.
But it doesn't have to be this way.
And there are things you can do right now to fight back in your own community.
And I would be able to just walk straight to skate to 7-Eleven for real. That'd be lit.
Cities are usually required to update their development plans every few years, which presents an opportunity to change the zoning laws. For example, here in Ann Arbor, we're about to rewrite our comprehensive plan, essentially choosing what our urban planning priorities will be for the next few decades.
Both here and in cities around the country, your voice is needed to solve this housing crisis. So take 5 minutes to research how to attend your next city planning meeting, see if there's any pro-housing groups already in your area, and hit the subscribe button to learn more about advocating for urban planning practices that make our neighborhoods more affordable, safe, and livable.
If your rent has gone up this year, take a number because you're not the only one. This is happening all across America. Drop your story in the comments and don't forget to like and follow for more real talk about the cost of living crisis. We'll see you in the next one. Happy every day.